TikTok, the ban and its messaging. On January 18th, around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, TikTok users across the United States opened the popular social media app to find the following message. Sorry, TikTok isn't available right now. A law banning TikTok has been enacted in the United States. Unfortunately, that means you can't use TikTok for now. We are fortunate that Donald Trump has indicated that he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned. For those who frequented TikTok, this message was not a surprise. In April 2024, President Biden signed a bill to ban TikTok, or force its sale to a U.S. company. Throughout the year, there were attempts to repeal the bill, but in early 2025, the Supreme Court voted to uphold the federal law, and the ban was set to go into effect January 19th. So as the date arrived, TikTok users were preparing to lose access to the app, and many were actively posting goodbye videos and enjoying their last hours on TikTok. What did come as a surprise was the time the app shut down for all users in the United States, several hours before the ban was set to take effect. The next morning, President-elect Donald Trump announced on a social media platform, Truth Social, that he planned to issue an executive order to pause the ban, saying, "I'm asking companies not to let TikTok stay dark," and that Americans deserve to see our exciting inauguration on Monday. And at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on January 19th, a second message appeared on the TikTok app, accompanied by the return of services and functions. Welcome back! Thanks for your patience and support. As a result of President Trump's effort, TikTok is back in the U.S. You can continue to create, share, and discover all the things you love on TikTok. The app was gone for a little over 14 hours. Those who still had the app downloaded on their phone were once again able to access TikTok. Unfortunately, those who uninstalled TikTok during the short blackout or sought to download it were unable to do so until February 13th, when the U.S. Attorney General sent letters to tech companies like Google or Apple promising they would not face fines for hosting TikTok and its related apps on their app stores, despite the still active ban. TikTok users reacted to seeing these messages in a few different ways, taking different subject positions on what the messages really mean. Some were enthusiastic at the ban reversal. Others were confused at the rapid turnaround or were angry at the disruption it caused. Because of these different interpretations, I will be applying Stuart Hall's encoding/decoding theory to analyze how these messages were received and what ideologies might be present behind the different interpretations. Timothy Borchers and Heather Hunley define subject position as a stance, role, or perspective one takes in relationship to a text, so as to read or engage the text. In other words, each person chooses how they prefer to interpret a text. The way they decide a text's meaning can be influenced by a variety of factors, like cultures, practices, and beliefs, or social influence. And these interpretations don't always line up with the author's intended meaning. This discrepancy is actually where a lot of misunderstandings come from. For example, the official messages TikTok released were crafted with specific language that is intended for users to view them in a particular way. But because of how users perceive the ban and their understanding of the forces behind the legislation, the president's intentions for lifting the ban, or even how the ban personally affected them, they can choose whether to interpret the messages as intended, take a negotiated approach, or oppose the perceived meanings. Before we take a closer look at the TikTok statements, let's talk about the different subject positions. The first is the dominant or preferred position, which means that a message is decoded according to the same code that it was encoded. The second position is the negotiated interpretation. People taking the negotiated approach may accept the dominant definition on a general level, but are critical at a more specific level. In other words, you might acknowledge the dominant position, but will have a personal line that you will or will not cross. Negotiated positions involve more nuance than the dominant perspective, and as such tend to be more common on topics that might be controversial or complex. The third position is the oppositional interpretation. It means that the interpreter reads the message with the help of a radically different frame of meaning. So taking an oppositional position doesn't mean that the person doesn't understand the dominant meaning. It means that they chose to interpret a statement using a different perspective. Let's take a closer look at the messages and see how they might be decoded using these subject positions, starting with the dominant position, a reading of the text that accepts the most obvious interpretation. In the first message, we have two key phrases that hint at the message's preferred meaning. A law banning TikTok has been enacted in the U.S., and we are fortunate that President Trump has indicated he will work with us on a solution. The first statement places the blame for TikTok's ban on the U.S. government, specifically the government and leadership where the ban was passed in 2024, aka the Biden administration. The second statement of interest mentions President Trump as the potential savior of the app. A person taking a dominant or preferred position may understand the statements as this: "Sorry TikTok is down for the moment. Your former government succeeded in banning it, but don't worry, the new president promises to bring it back soon." The second message follows the same theme. As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the U.S. This message once again refers back to the president's involvement in the return of the app. It also mentions the value TikTok provides to its users as a place to create, share, and discover, emphasizing the significance its loss would have on the public. Before we delve into the negotiated and oppositional subject positions, I want to analyze one more textual artifact. This is a video containing a message to the American viewers from TikTok CEO Shou Chew. It was released on TikTok's official account the morning of January 17, a day before the TikTok ban took effect.
Hi everyone, it's Shou here. As you know, we have been fighting to protect the constitutional right to free speech for the more than 170 million Americans who use our platform every day to connect, create, discover, and achieve their dreams. On behalf of everyone at TikTok and all our users across the country, I want to thank President Trump for his commitment to work with us to find a solution that keeps TikTok available in the United States. This is a strong stand for the First Amendment and against arbitrary censorship. As we've said, TikTok is a place where people can create communities, discover new interests, and express themselves, including over 7 million American businesses who earn a living and gain new customers using our platform. We are grateful and pleased to have the support of a president who truly understands our platform, one who has used TikTok to express his own thoughts and perspectives, connecting with the world and generating more than 60 billion views of his content in the process. To all American users, thank you for making our TikTok community such a rich and vibrant space, for surprising and delighting us every day. Rest assured, we will do everything in our power to ensure our platform thrives as your online home for limitless creativity and discovery, as well as a source of inspiration and joy for years to come. Thank you. More to come.
I'd like to focus on a few select statements from this video. I want to thank President Trump for his commitment to work with us. This is a strong stand for the First Amendment and against arbitrary censorship. We are grateful and pleased to have the support of a president who truly understands our platform. The first and third statements again address President Trump's efforts to keep the app available to U.S. users. The second one introduces the First Amendment as being threatened by the ban. Because this message came out the Friday before Trump's inauguration and the day before the temporary shutdown, it serves as a primer for TikTok users as they prepare their goodbyes to their communities and businesses. In the hours before the shutdown, many content creators posted videos expressing their feelings, participating in last-minute trends, and even revealing secrets about themselves as a way of saying goodbye. There were also statements of denial that the ban would ever take place or be reversed, and many expressed hope that the new president would in fact sign an executive order halting the ban as promised. With TikTok's official account posting the CEO's message, that even further provided the impression that the ban would be reversed quickly, reliant on President Trump's actions. There are a few recurring themes in the three messages that position President Trump as central for the app's continued use, with the additional focus on the 170 million Americans who use the app and the threat the ban poses to the First Amendment. This repetition is effective in guiding people to interpret the messaging in a specific way, aka the dominant or preferred position. Looking at all three messages together, people who take the preferred position and read these statements at face value might hear a message that sounds like this: the Biden administration restricted your freedom of speech by banning TikTok, but President Trump defended that right by bringing it back. Or they might hear a message like this: TikTok is so important to the American people, President Trump fought the ban before he even took office. There could be other takeaways, other interpretations, but the dominant message is clear. President Trump saved TikTok. Let's take a look at the negotiated position. A reading of the text where audiences understand the dominant ideology but adapt to fit their own experiences. A person taking a negotiated position with these messages may see the dominant message as President Trump saved TikTok and agree with it with some added nuance. His promises not to enforce the ban meant users could still use TikTok, and app stores could continue allowing users to download it. But they may also view the temporary shutdown as a stunt that impacted millions of people and their businesses needlessly. Or that President Trump's actions are self-serving, a move that benefits 170 million American users and business owners, as well as establishing himself as a hero. Regardless of the reason, TikTok remains available. According to TikTok's Economic Impact Report, the app drove $15 billion in revenue for U.S. small businesses in 2023. TikTok is not only enmeshed in popular culture, but in the American economy as well. Many small business owners use TikTok to keep in touch with their customers that they can't reach anywhere else. Because of this, a full ban on the app would have catastrophic effects on many people's livelihoods. With this perspective, a person with a negotiated position may not care about President Trump's reasons for delaying the ban. They may not care about why the ban was enacted in the first place. They would, however, care that their favorite creators still have an outlet in which they can continue to connect their businesses and reach their customer base. Another negotiated position focuses on the references to the law that banned TikTok and the threat of censorship included in the three statements. Over the years since the ban was passed, there have been several pushes within the app for TikTok supporters to express their opposition, to ask local representatives to vote against the bill or help reverse the ban. To build upon this dominant position of Trump Save TikTok, these messages could be interpreted as, "He promised he would and you voted him in. This is what you voted for." It's subtle, but these messages could also be interpreted as a call to action that encourages TikTok users to engage in the political discourse and reach out to their local representatives on issues they care about. They might hear a message like, "Your vote matters, so make your voice heard." Finally, let's take a look at a few oppositional interpretations, readings that oppose the dominant ideological message present in the text. Oppositional interpretations can easily veer into conspiracy theory territory if they're taken far enough. But if we take a look at the boiled-down dominant reading from earlier, we can identify a few prominent interpretations that oppositional readers could take. If we take the three messages to mean President Trump saved TikTok, then we could theorize the exact opposite is that President Trump did not save TikTok. It was never going to be banned permanently, or it would have been brought back quickly regardless of who was president at the time. Or that President Trump can't really save TikTok, and he's just prolonging the inevitable, and eventually the law will catch up. Another position aligns one with the policymakers who passed the TikTok ban in the first place. One of the dominant themes we identified earlier said banning the app posed a threat to free speech. An oppositional position may believe that the app already poses a threat to free speech, and keeping it accessible opens the door to more harm than good. TikTok has been shown to perpetuate misinformation and disinformation at alarming rates, and this is concerning because more and more TikTok is being used as a news source, especially among younger users. This is one of the biggest reasons that the ban was introduced, that and concerns for data security. Several of TikTok's features are used to facilitate conversations, including political discourse. The use of the green screen feature allows users to provide citational evidence and visual proof for their arguments. The duet feature offers an element of nonverbal communication to add authenticity when reacting to another video, and the stitch function allows users to supply additional commentary to the videos, with or without involving other creators in dialogue. These tools are effective in allowing users to communicate their opinions and ideologies to a wide audience, making it easier to participate in political discourse. And videos that contain messages that resonate with a large enough group of people, or what the algorithm deems relevant to users, are more likely to be pushed toward other viewers, exposing them to these messages and contributing to the spread and popularization of a dominant or preferred ideology. A person taking an oppositional position to the TikTok ban messages might think about how easy it is for a popular content creator or even the algorithm itself to push certain political ideologies in ways that could have a profound impact on public opinion and action. That there is an underlying sense of something working in the shadows to push an agenda could be concerning. No matter what position someone chooses when reviewing texts like the TikTok messages, there are many valid reasons for preferring one over the other. In the end, how a person interprets these messages varies greatly depending on what they know, how they feel about the situation, and how they were affected. Choosing one position or another doesn't mean that they didn't understand the other perspectives, but that one more closely aligns with their personal ideology than the others. Whether that interpretation matches with what the creators intended or not doesn't really matter. It's up to the audience to decode their own meanings.